Okay, I'm gonna get at this one right. I can't tell which one it is, unfortunately. Let's try this one.
Vicky, who becomes the chair if the chair resigns?
Do we have a vice chair?
Oh,
Okay, then Jeff Gall is the chair for the time being, unless you rename someone else.
all right.
God help us.
Okay, I think I got that one right. I think you
Super resigned?
can start any old time. Sean Freeman is also a commissioner, right?
No, he's the lieutenant
Oh.
of the Beach Police Department.
My apologies. So you've got 3 members present. So you have
The
to
last
wait for the 4th member to show up.
Commissioner Susan Coig said she would be about 5 to 10 minutes late, but she will be present. Okay.
Okay, you're successfully live streaming. You've got to wait for 1 more member to show up so you have a quorum. So I'm actually going to step away for just a bit. So you just start whenever you have that 4th member join you. And you got live manager already down. So I think that you're good, Kyle, to kind of be.
Yes.
I'm going to step away. I'll be done with my commitment soon.
I am recording.
I think everyone's named correctly. All right, thanks. I'm
Once
stepping
we
away.
have a quorum, Vice Chair Jeffrey Gall can call the meeting to order once the quorum is present.
I just realized I called you Brian May. Jason, that's a member of Queen. I apologize.
Yeah, they're
Excuse me, I'm
related.
stepping away.
They're
I'm aging
actually
myself.
related. So
That's actually a compliment. That's not misnaming. So I'm going to go with it. So.
I might suggest for you to note the time when you do call the meeting to order, so it'll help the minutes secretary appropriately make note of it in the minutes, okay?
Thank you.
Thanks.
I'm going to step away for just a moment. Should we wait till 7:30?
So per Susan's email, she said, it might be a little late, 7:15 at the latest. So if you guys want to, it is 7:16 now. If you guys want to gracefully wait longer, you may, or we can call it on a lack of quorum. And the next meeting is October. It's modified to once a month with some legislative changes. And the next meeting will be Monday, October 18th.
I wait till 7:30 should be fine. What do
Okay,
you think? Yeah,
I can wait.
cool.
7:30 it is?
Yeah, cool.
Looks like everyone's here now.
Wow.
We've reached a quorum.
I'm sorry I'm late.
One step for Redondo Beach, one step for people kind. I call this
Can you-
meeting to order at 7:27 PM. And we need Susan's name changed, Vicky.
There's a mystery with the login.
You can hear me though, right?
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me? Yeah.
Yes. Okay, the name's fixed. All right. Vice Chair, you may proceed with your agenda.
Great, I call this meeting to order at 7:27 PM. Officer Lofstrom, may I have a roll call, please?
Yes. Roll call. Oops, sorry, hold on.
No worries.
Got my list. Commissioner Vice Chair Gall will be chair.
Present.
Commissioner Lieberman.
Present.
Commissioner Kleinbaum.
Present.
Chair Super has resigned. Commissioner Koenig
Here.
and Commissioner Marinelli is absent.
Okay, I think it's time to salute the flag. Is that correct?
Is complete. Yes.
Okay, I guess ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag, the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And then the next item on the agenda is to approve it. May I get a motion to approve the order of agenda?
I make that motion.
I second the motion.
And a vote. Commissioner Gall,
Aye.
Commissioner Lieberman,
Aye.
Commissioner Kleinbaum,
Aye.
and Commissioner Koenig.
Aye.
Unanimous. So approved.
Great. The next item on the agenda would be the blue folder items, if we have any. Do we have any, Officer Lofstrom?
No, negative.
Okay,
Folder.
negative. Copy that. Moving on to the consent calendar.
Or no, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Close the or no, you don't have to open if it's not material. Yeah, let's go with that.
Okay. So now we go to the consent calendar, which is business items except for those formally noticed for public hearing or discussion are assigned to the consent calendar. The commission members may request that any consent calendar items be removed, discussed, and acted upon separately. Items removed from the consent calendar will be taken up under the excluded consent calendar below. Those items remaining on the consent calendar will be approved in one motion following oral communications. Is there any adjustments to the consent calendar? Or are we all, may I make a motion to proceed as is, or do I need to do anything?
I think you might need to make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Yes.
Great, thank you, Commissioner.
And I make that motion.
Second.
Seconded. Commissioner Gall.
Aye.
Commissioner Lieberman,
Aye.
Commissioner Kleinbaum,
Aye.
and Commissioner Koenig.
Aye.
Consent calendar is approved. So approved.
Great. So we have the affidavit of posting and approval of minutes for July 19th. Do I need a motion for those as well?
No, those items improved in one motion.
Great.
And
How
then,
about, go ahead.
and then close the consent calendar.
Okay, so we have closed that. And we would go on to item G, the excluded consent calendar items. I don't think there's been anything excluded, correct?
No.
Great. Do we have any public participation on non-agenda items? Anybody in the audience giving any inputs, or is there any people other than the 8 or 9 of us?
No more participants than the 9 of us. And let me check the e-comments.
Great.
Hold on one second. Oh, whoops. 0 comments.
No problem.
Okay, so you can close and move on.
Okay. Do I need to make a motion for that or just move on to
Yes.
I? Okay.
I make that motion.
I'll second the motion.
And vote Commissioner Gall,
Aye.
Commissioner Lieberman,
Aye.
Commissioner Kleinbaum,
Aye.
and Commissioner Koenig.
Aye.
So closed.
Great. Items continued from previous agendas. I don't believe there's any. And don't think we need to close that unless there's been something that we had proposed from the previous meeting. Is there anything on the agenda there, Officer Lofstrom?
No, nothing that I won't cover
Great,
in my section.
great. Items for discussion prior to action. So we have committee reports. I'll just read these, and if anybody has any comments, go ahead. But under J1, we have the commendation subcommittee. I just want to make one comment. I just want to say thank you, Redondo Beach Police Department, for your service at the Pier. Any other comments on commendation?
Thank you.
Okay, legislative review subcommittee. Quarterly report subcommittee. CERT support and promotion subcommittee. And homeless subcommittee. Any reports? Not hearing any. Would I go to J2 or just close J1?
Close J1.
Motion to close J1.
A second.
Oh, vote Commissioner Gall,
Aye.
Commissioner Lieberman,
Aye.
Commissioner Kleinbaum,
Aye.
Commissioner Koenig.
Aye.
Unanimous.
Great. Now J2, discussion of recent fire events. Chief May, if you're there, go ahead.
All right, good evening, everyone. I have some brief updates for everybody tonight. First and foremost, I guess the most exciting thing for all of us is that the fire chief, or the interim fire chief, Chief Cobb, who also happens to be our police chief, is wrapping up his evaluation of the fire department and will be presenting his findings to council in mid-October, probably before our next meeting. So he's finishing up his evaluation. That should show up in the minutes for the city council, probably next 30 days. I know it's in its final draft, so I'm sure that's something everybody on this panel would be interested in looking at and kind of reviewing how we do business and how we can improve for the future. So that should be coming soon. In terms of recent fire department activities, I'll give you the notes, and I have actually kind of a cool presentation for everybody tonight. In July, we had 643 calls for service. 405 of them were medical calls, 19 of them were motor vehicle accidents, and the report responded to 10 structure fires. In August, we responded to 680 calls for service. 468 of them were medical in nature, 21 were multi-vehicle accidents, and then 5 structure fires for those 2 months in the interim. And then I actually have a presentation for us tonight, which I hope you'll enjoy, reviewing our deployments to strike teams. Like what we do when we get sent up to these wildfires out in the wildland. Everybody see my little slide there?
Yes.
Good. Okay. So as starting in July 19th, and this will probably run through the end of the year, we deploy through different parts of the state. So far to date, from July 19th until September 9th, we've deployed a total of 13 personnel across the state from July 19th until September 9th, a total of 36 days of active wildland firefighting out there. Primarily, we were deployed to the Dixie Fire, which is now the second largest fire in the state history. outside of Chico, and then to the Calder fire, which is the one that was burning into Tahoe, and they're worried that was going to get into South Lake Tahoe in that area. So these are all pictures of our personnel out there doing their work. This is actually shot from somebody's, what's it called? Their iPhone, when they're out doing something called structure protection, which is what we do when we're staged at a house and the fire is burning towards homes. We'll get there early. We'll move all the burnable debris away from the home, and then knock down the fire as it burns through the community. That's one of our major missions when we go out with our fire engines from Redondo Beach. But these are all, again, real live action pictures. Again, this is us doing structure protection out in the community, Redondo Beach fire engine there. And this is from the Calder fire. As the fire burned through a large community, we go out and make sure we put out the house as it starts to catch on fire. Once the fires move through the area, we make sure there's no embers or anything to start the home after the fire front moves through. But it's incredibly dangerous for our personnel because they're right at the head of the fire as it burns through that community. And typically we'll deploy right on the edge of the fire as it kind of moves through homes. I was deployed. I think I missed our last meeting because I was deployed to the Dixie fire for 14 days. Interestingly enough, if you've read anything about that event, we were actually in the town of Greenville for 2 days before the fire actually got there and prepared for the fire to burn through the community, doing our structure protection. Unfortunately, weather conditions changed right actually as we were moved off the fire and we were returning home and burned that whole community to the ground. But typically we're sent out to those areas to prevent that from happening. That's one of our major missions. So in addition to structure protection, and I'll turn the volume off on this, we do a whole bunch of stuff. This is one of our brand new firefighters that's just started with us. He's got about 3 months on the job, and he's doing what's called a firing operation. We'll actually take a torch filled with fuel and then burn out islands of fuel so the fire burns back into itself as it comes into a community. So it's starting a backfire. And he's there being mentored by a wildland firefighter, teaching him how to do it. He's actually burning out a very small island of fuel. But for example, when I was on my deployment, I did a 5-mile long burn that started a fire that burned back into the fire itself, kind of putting the fire out, consuming the fuel before it gets to a dangerous area. So that's another one of our missions when we're out there. And then this is another one where we do fire line construction. We actually take basically hose, shovels, chainsaws, and then make a break in the fuel. You can see all of our firefighters from Redondo Beach, Torrance, El Segundo, and Manhattan Beach. There on the right side of the slide, they are actually cutting a break so the fire stops moving through the area. And they work right along the edge of the fire. It's incredibly hot, dusty, and dangerous work. But they take gardening tools and basically separate the fuel. And that's how we hope that it stops moving the fire. This is also us working in the front of the fire. Again, it's all comes from somebody's personal videos, but again, this is the fire moving into a community where they're coordinating with helicopters to actually drop water on the front of the fire as it moves through their community. They do that through radios and a bunch of air assets. We also do what's called tactical patrol, which basically means we patrol a community looking for areas where the fire will kind of ignite these trees. Again, this is all on a forest. So the trees, all they need is a little couple of embers, and then they go up. If anybody's seen a Christmas tree burn, this is a Christmas tree that's 200 feet tall. So very dangerous to structures. We also do what's called a progressive hose layer, where we put a whole bunch of hose on the ground and then put out the fire as it burns through a long area. When I was deployed, we put in 26,000 feet of hose one day, which is 5 miles of fire hose used to mop up the fire as it burns through the community. So we'll be doing this type of work being deployed to various parts of the state. It doesn't change our fire engines that are actually working in town. We backfill people, call people in from home, and then send our people out for 2-week deployments to work in these different parts of the state. Northern California is kind of winding up their part of the wildland season, and now Southern California is kind of ready for us to do our work down here, which we're much more familiar with. But this was supposed to be presented to council. It was pushed due to some other issues, but I thought you'd like to know kind of what we're doing when we go out there. And that we play a very important role in the state's mutual aid response and helping these communities in need when they have pressing fire problems. That's what I have for you tonight. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. If you have any questions, obviously don't hesitate to email me, but I'm very excited to go into what is a very challenging phase of the fire season for us as we start to get our Santa Ana winds, and we have obviously a lot of fuel for those of you who've been out driving in the hills. So does anybody have any questions for me this evening?
I don't have a question. I just want to say thank you. That was a great presentation, and it really highlights what great work that you guys do. And we appreciate your service.
Thank you, Commissioner Quigg.
Chief May, when you say 5 miles of fueling? Is that walking 5 miles up and down hills and then setting it all? And then it probably takes about 8 hours to get that done.
So it's very interesting. So we are deployed for 24-hour periods. We're typically working for 24 hours. And when we do a backfire, it's always at night. So for my operation, we started at about 10 o'clock at night because that's when the winds are the most calm and it won't cause a fire to jump. And you'll walk 5 miles in a straight line and then you finish up and then you walk right back down the hill the way you came 5 miles. So it was a really cool, very interesting. We don't do it a lot down here. They do it a lot in Northern California. We don't really ever put fire on the ground here. But it was a very interesting part to play in how we protect these communities in a more aggressive way.
How much material are you carrying at one time?
It depends. So it depends on how far you are from your piece of equipment. Our fire engines are designed for municipal firefighting to protect the people here in Redondo Beach. They're not designed to be off-roading. They can somewhat off-road, but typically they have different types of fire engines that are designed to go off-road. And so if we're supported by those, we can actually go very, very deep into the wildland area. On that part where you saw the guy putting the fire on the ground, that's actually a dozer line, which they construct to make a break in the fuels, just like we do with the gardening tools, but they use a dozer to do that. And our equipment can run on that, but anything more dangerous than that, we can't do it. So we got to just carry what we're going to eat, drink, and sleep with for 24 hours on our backs, in addition to our tools. So,
Commissioner Kleinbaum.
I appreciate the presentation, Chief May. It gives one a real appreciation of how dangerous and how much hard work it is, the business of firefighting. Thank you again.
Thank you. It's a very invaluable experience that our personnel get out in these environments. It's the Super Bowl of firefighting. And we get to bring that back to our city. And while it doesn't apply for, we don't have wildland areas in Redondo Beach, it does give our personnel a lot of experience. So it's nice to be able to bring that home and to get to practice it out there.
Commissioner Lieberman, anything?
No.
Great. Can I make a motion to close J2?
I make that motion.
I second the motion.
Sorry, I was muted. Vote on the motion. Commissioner Gall.
Aye.
Commissioner Lieberman.
Aye.
Commissioner Kleinbaum.
Aye.
And Commissioner Koenig.
Aye.
J3 is City Prosecutor's Office. Do we have City Prosecutor online at all?
I have an announcement. The city prosecutor notified me that they will not be present for a few meetings. They're extremely busy. And they said they will make a return as when they are able for Mike Webb. Their office will make a return to the Public Safety Commission when they are able. But right now they are unable to do so.
Understood. May I make a motion to close J3?
I just want to make a comment before. I don't think that they've been at the last couple meetings. So at this point now, we're going to be missing them for like 4 to 6 months. So I don't know if there's any way we can get them to come make a presentation of some sort just to let us know what's going on. I know if they're busy, I get that, but now we don't know what's going on with with the prosecution in the city for almost 4 months. Now 6 months, it'll probably be.
Can I second that motion?
Close.
Can I second the motion or is that a referral to staff at the end? What do you think, Commissioner Kuig and Officer
No,
Lawson?
I mean, I would make that motion to have them be present. I mean, I know they're busy. We're all busy people. We're all taking time out of and we're not asking them to be here all night for months. I don't know. I don't know how to handle that.
I'm fairly new to this, so I'm not sure of what the etiquette is or the procedure, but I'll ask city staff. I'll inquire with city staff.
And usually it's not Mike Webb that comes to our meeting, somebody from the prosecutor's office anyway.
Typically one of his deputies, yes, but he was just one of the ones I spoke to.
Okay.
Regarding that.
I have a question, Alan Kleinbaum. Is their participation in these meetings optional or is it a requirement?
You got me. I don't know. I'll have to inquire with city staff on what the official ruling is on that. I'm still fairly new at this, so I'm learning as I go on some things. So TBD, I suppose.
All right, we would pursue it with interest for the next meeting and make a motion to close J3.
I second that motion.
Commissioner Gall,
Aye.
Lieberman,
Aye.
Kleinbaum,
Aye.
and Koenig.
Aye.
And J4 is discussion of recent law enforcement events and crime recap.
Okay. That's me. Hello, everyone. You guys know me by now. So I'm going to start with two big things because I know that you guys are interested, and that would be the officer involved shooting on the pier and beach life. So obviously investigations are still ongoing for the officer involved shooting. What you may have read in the press release is about all we can say. Officers responded to call of a shooting on the pier. They arrive, an officer involved shooting occurs, and the LA County Sheriff's Department investigates on our behalf. So that is what happened. All the officers involved were okay. And at this time, that is the most we can disclose. Beach life. There was a music festival in our city for 3 days that had a lot of safety personnel assigned to it. No particular issues of note. I think each public safety agency is learning each time we do it, and we make some slight adjustments to make the following festival better. Crime recap. We had somewhat of an uptick in the catalytic converter thefts. So Redondo Beach Police Department has actually assigned another officer to our unit who is dedicated to quality of life and directed enforcement type tasks. So he's been making an effort to go out in the early morning hours and stop vehicles and try and make arrests on that front. We've initiated the planning for another etching event, and we continue our education efforts in order to try and combat the issue as it rises. And then another thing I did was, if you guys remember, there was a request for some information in regards to the traffic citations and how many, this was Commissioner Koenig, how many traffic citations are resident or non-resident. So from in 2021 up to July 31st, there was a total of 1,938 citations issued, 368 of which had a Redondo Beach address, and 1,570 had a non-Redondo Beach address. Some other information for you. From July 1st to August 31st, there was 464 arrests, 91 field interviews, 388 citations, 16,000 calls for service, 16,663. Priority 1, 4,588. Priority 2, 3,007. Priority 3, 5,573. And in this particular agenda, I've included a list of our call priorities, which I did not last time. So now you guys have something to reference in regards to what constitutes a priority 1, 2, and 3 call. Our top calls are, we've made 2,085 traffic stops, 704 subject stops, and then typically security checks and medical aid are the next on high volume calls to our dispatch. And I think that about does it for the information I wanted to cover. Does anyone have any questions?
I like the priority delineation. Thank you. Go ahead, Commissioner Koenig.
I'm just undeleting myself. I just have a question about beach life. I know I saw you down there. I was enjoying the festivities. It was super fun. How many arrests, or do you have any information on how many arrests were made? And if so, what were the majority of types of arrests or detentions that happened that weekend?
Kyle, you want me to take that, Kyle?
I know that there was 2 drunken public arrests the first day, but otherwise I wasn't privy.
This is Sean Freeman. I was there all 3 days. There were, I think, actually about 2 arrests per day for drunken public. So again, I know on Friday there was 2, and I know there was 2. They started blending together, but I think in total maybe there was 6 arrests for the whole weekend around that area for drunken public. 2 of them at least though were outside of the event, but other than that, there was no problems, with the event as far as the attendees. I mean, they have 9,000 people, and to have 2 people arrested for drunken public that's kind of the better odds than at the pier on a summer.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. No, that's pretty amazing. Yeah, because there was no line for anything. You could get a beer, you could get a drink, you could go to the bathroom. It was a great festival. That was my first year, and I really think everybody did a great job. And there was a big presence of police, big presence of fire, and I think it dissuaded people from doing bad things or attempting to do bad things. So I appreciate you guys all being there.
Thank you. Any other questions on
Yes.
the whole subsection? Yes.
Yeah, hi, this is Alan Kleinbaum. I had a question about the Beach Life Festival. There were a lot of complaints about noise on Nextdoor, and I live about 1,000 yards away from the festival near Torrance and PCH. And Sunday, it was evening, it was like out of hand. And so I called the police department and I spoke with operator 226. And then later I spoke with Lieutenant Springle, and nobody in the police department wanted to take any responsibility for dealing with the issue whatsoever. And so I've been trying to reach someone in the police department who can take ownership of this for the past week, and no one will step up. Is there somebody I can speak to that can take ownership of this, please?
So I think I saw your Comcate, and then I think your complaint is about the sound level, sir?
My complaint is mostly about, like, if there's a problem in the city with noise and you call the police department, how they're supposed to respond, not say refer to that there's a permit and say there's nothing they can do about it. That's not right. We have city codes, and so at least answer in an appropriate manner. It's not really about the noise. It's more about the response from the police department as to how to handle the problem.
Right. So with beach life, if there's a problem with beach life noise, again, it's kind of out of our control at that point. It's beach life was authorized by your city council and city manager's office. So, I mean, if we have a complaint about the noise at beach life, honestly, what do you suggest we would do, like on Sunday night if it's too loud?
You do what you do with any other call that you receive from dispatch, and there's no different.
Right, but what would the steps be?
Well, first of all, you should be acquainted and knowledgeable about the municipal code, and in the code, the specifics about noise and what the regulations are, and you should understand what they are. Okay. And if somebody complains, you should investigate it.
Right. So
like anything else.
Okay, but I understand that. So if we get the complaint of a loud noise coming from Beach Life, which is an authorized concert that the city of Redondo Beach is allowed, I mean, it's not realistic for us to go and basically turn it off.
I'm not suggesting that, okay, but so what do you propose, sir, then to do? Not just say it's not my responsibility, it's approved, and therefore there's no limit how much disturbance they can cause, and because it was approved by the city council, all the municipal code regulations that are applicable to noise are now exempt, and we do nothing. That's not right either, sir.
Right, so again, you would have to take it up with your city council to say, do not authorize the Beach Life event, and do not authorize them to exceed any the noise levels.
What time did this take place?
Typically,
in general?
I mean, again, so again, the problem is I mean, we can't. I know you want us to take responsibility, but the police department does not issue the permit to Beach Life to hold a concert. That's by the city manager's office. It's in the agreement. If you go online, you can look at the agreement, and it states the city manager's office and basically his or her designee, which I believe is like the community directors. So they're the ones that authorize the Beach Life, not the police department.
I spoke with the waterfront and economic development department manager, Mr. Steve Proud, and he said there is no permit. Okay, it's just an agreement that they have for 10 years to hold this. Okay, but they're still held accountable. They have to respect. They have to respect all the city ordinances, sir.
I know, but
If I could just jump in.
with the city council though, because they fill out the application and it says that in the agreement that the application goes to the city manager's office and then the city manager can then give it to his or her designee and it puts in parentheses to community director. So it doesn't go to the police department to authorize it or not authorize it. So again, you started out by saying that you want the police to take responsibility for it, but we're giving it off to the city council. And the reason why, because the city council is one who's authorizing it. City council is authorizing them to have a concert. It basically puts us in between a rock and a hard place if somebody calls from the city and says, go turn it down. Because really that's the only, that Sunday night when someone's complaining about the loud music, what are our options? Either tell the person, sorry, it's going to be over at 10:30, which it was, or we go and we turn down the music, which is not realistic at all. So if you have a problem with it, you've got to go to the city council and say, quit authorizing this loud music. It was too loud. Put some limits on beach life to where if they get 15 loud calls of complaints, then they have to shut it off.
Yeah, so
Otherwise, we don't really have any way to enforce it. I understand that it's not convenient for people to have the loud sound on a Sunday night, but the city council approved it, not the police department.
With all due respect, sir, I completely disagree with you. I'm so sorry.
All right. Well, I know you disagree that we don't have any responsibility for it, but you can look at the contract and agreement. We don't approve it. We only approve the ABC permit. That's what we approve.
Alan, can I speak? Or this is likened to Coachella or Sturgis or any other event where you have several days. The city makes a tremendous amount of money. The vendors, the business owners, people are coming, 9,000 people at $100 a ticket. I get the idea, there's a noise problem, but the greater good, is for the 3 days. A lot of folks, did okay, benefited from it. But I definitely get your point. But at 10:30, the permit has been issued. There's no way you can have an assembly like that and a police presence and all of the services there without it being approved. There's got to be a permit process. But the beach life thing, it's for a couple of years now. It's been 2 years. It's been successful. And if you think about it, 9,000 people and 6 arrests, it's a statistic it's hard to even measure.
Again, it says in the agreement that the application for the beach life, which talks about in the application, which we don't see, it doesn't come to the police department. That application goes to the city manager's office and the community director is what it says in there. And it talks about like the stages and the performance and that kind of stuff. So the police department's not part of that. The only thing that we saw for beach life that we're in charge of, that we can take responsibility for at this point, is the ABC permits and the traffic plan and making sure that the traffic plan goes according to the plan. As far as the sound level, that kind of stuff, again, I understand the complaints, but to say the police department needs to do something about it, again, you got to file those complaints with the city council.
So also, I just want to point out regarding the ordinances for noise. So I just looked into this a bunch because I was dealing with a certain other issue. So there's a section in the municipal code that covers exactly how many decibels of ambient noise are allowed for certain periods of time. And there's a maximum of like 100. And anything that goes above something that's much quieter than beach life was, for any sustained period of time would be against the law. So essentially, we understand that what the city does is they make a decision that says, because of the benefits that are brought to the city by the production itself, be the festival, and like Commissioner Lieberman said, we're going to allow this to occur in spite of the limitations on the municipal code that would also govern things like the use of the public space, alcohol, parking, blocking of streets, all those things. They basically say, okay, so for this 3-day period, we're going to allow these things to occur, they're going to be temporarily permitted and with certain restraints. Now, if you had an issue when you called dispatch, dispatch typically doesn't deal with the very specific knowledge of noise ordinances. They take a noise complaint and they send an officer. So if there was a call of somebody playing music in their house really loud and it was keeping both neighbors up on either side of the house, that typically would be handled by an officer going out and saying, hey, your music's too loud, outside of a special event permit, like for something smaller, on a smaller scale, like a block party. But the scale for this we're talking is going to be so massive that, I mean, you could hear it from, I was taking calls all week, and I know we were exchanging messages a couple times earlier. I did try and did want to get on the phone with you and discuss it, but I've been taking calls for people all over the place, and I just had to explain, hey, look, this is a city permitted event, and surrounding cities are notified, and it's 3 days long from this time to this time. And they do as much education as possible about the issue. So I'm trying to revisit your initial complaint, but I'm not sure I know exactly what it is at this point.
What time would you have wanted them to stop, Commissioner Kleinbaum? I would say 10 o'clock. I know when I have noise complaints, they're out in about 10 minutes when I call police department, but I understand, late night, loud noise, but what time would have been good for the music to stop on a Sunday night for you?
There's no time for it to stop. That's not my complaint. My complaint is the inappropriate response from the dispatch and Lieutenant Springle. That's my complaint.
What can the appropriate response that you would like to see from the dispatcher?
Okay, when somebody calls and they're calling in good faith, okay, you accept the complaint and you take it down and you investigate it. Okay, you don't just wash it out and say I refuse to do anything. And then I ask to speak with the watch commander, and he calls me later. I appreciate that he did, and I explain the same thing. And he starts saying that there's a permit issue. There is no permit. Okay, and at least entertain the problem. You're required to do that when somebody files a complaint, and it's a good faith complaint. Investigate the complaint. Okay, not just say I refuse to do anything about this. You go talk to the city council. It's not a city council issue. We have a municipal code. Okay, and if there's a problem with the code, then the city council can change the code. But until the code is changed, it's your job to enforce it. And I know that you have the option not to enforce the code if you don't want to. But if there's a problem and there's a code there that restricts, that is related to the problem, at least take ownership of the problem and discuss it, investigate it, or do something about it. Not to say it's not my responsibility. I refuse to do anything about it. That's not right.
Okay,
that's Alan. That's what we're saying.
Kyle, let me get it. So when you say investigate it, right? You wanted the dispatcher to investigate it, and you said it's a good faith complaint. If somebody calls on Sunday night during Beach Fest or Saturday night or Friday night and says the Beach Fest Festival or the Beach Life Festival is too loud, right? I understand that part. That was your complaint, correct?
Yes, sir. Well, no, I didn't say that. That was not my complaint. That's negative. That's not my complaint. My complaint said what was the
good faith investigation that you were supposed to do?
I want to know. It's making a lot of noise, but I don't want to make a complaint. Okay, if it meets all the legal requirements, I don't want to complain about it. So I want to know what the requirements are. I'm sure there's some limit as to how much noise they can make. There's a limit, and it's specified in the municipal code. Okay, how do we tell what are the requirements? Okay, so if I want to make a complaint, it's a good complaint. It's not a bad complaint. I'm not going to complain about something that's legally allowed.
Well, but it was legally allowed, sir.
Then show me that. Then I asked for the permit and they couldn't produce it because there is no permit.
Okay, so you're right. You're getting semantics about permits and applications and agreements. So again, it's kind of on its face, it's pretty clear that it was a city sanctioned event. Okay, it happened in 2019. There was banners up, at least 3 banners that are up all over the city. I think it was even on the city website. It was published in the newspaper about a hearing about it. It was at city council meetings. So there was no hiding that it was going to happen. So the fact that they don't know exactly how the permit reads, they're not, again, I don't expect my dispatchers to know I don't expect my dispatchers to know every single thing that is permitted by the city word for word. So it's pretty clear that the beach life was permitted. It was permitted in the sense of that word that is permitted, meaning it was allowed by the city of Redondo Beach. So the call of it's pretty loud, investigate it, there's really nothing to investigate. They know that the beach life is allowed. They know that it's a concert. They know that it's a 3-day event. They know that it's going to be loud music. What is there to investigate?
So
The complaint is that you do not like the loud music coming from beach life, and you do not like that the city council approved it. That's clear to me.
That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying, sir. Okay.
Okay, well, we're going round and round in circles.
I know. I understand. I understand. Okay. So I don't know what to say. Okay. I respect your opinion. I don't agree with it. Okay. I would like you to work with the city so we don't have this problem next time, or try to mitigate it to the extent that we can. Okay. And then just take ownership, do your job.
What problem do I have to work with? What problem do I have to work with in the city?
Because that I don't know. It's not my job to determine if something unlawful was done there. Okay.
Commissioner Kuig, go ahead.
Okay,
Nothing
I was
unlawful
just gonna
was
say
done.
on another note that I had friends that lived in Torrance, friends that lived in Hollywood Riviera, and friends that lived in Hermosa Beach, all thanked the city of Redondo Beach for the live free concert that they got from their porches that they could listen to in the evening and sit out and have a glass of wine or enjoy the music from the bands that were later on in the evening. So I didn't see a problem with the noise complaint. And I mean, I agree with the officers indicating that, I understand the noise complaint, but it was a sanctioned. So I don't know what people would investigate. It was a sanctioned event. It was sanctioned by the city. The dates were up, the times were up. It was noticed for months, years in advance, because it was canceled in 2020 because of COVID. So
Like
it's not something that's
fireworks on
new.
4th of
I mean, at the
July.
end of the day, my suggestion would be if you're not interested in the noise, then you should take a vacation for the weekend and not be around, because it's going to happen.
Thank you.
Commissioner Kleinbaum, just to be clear, there was nothing awful about beach life because the city council approved that they would be permitted to do things that maybe at another time or place would be unlawful based on the municipal codes that you're referencing. But in this case, they are permitted. They are the things that you're saying the municipal codes restrict certain behavior that occurred during beach life, which is true, but the city basically said, we're going to have beach life and these municipal codes do not apply to this event.
Who can I discuss this with offline?
You can call me.
City council.
Okay.
But
City council. The city
Yeah,
council.
Your city council. The police department does not issue the application or the authorization application or the permit or enter into the agreement with Beach Life. That's with your city council.
Okay.
that was
so-
all handled by
So,
the city.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. So the police department will not discuss this with me, is my understanding from what I heard.
Again, we're discussing it now. I don't know what more there is to discuss. You
Want
want
to discuss it offline? Can I
I'm
do
not
that?
No, I don't want to discuss it with you because
Okay.
we spent as much time on it. I don't know what more there is to discuss, sir. You're
Okay.
not understanding.
Okay. You don't want to discuss it. Okay.
I discussed it.
Commissioner Kleinbaum,
What more questions do you have? What more questions do you have? We'll discuss it now. What do you want to discuss?
I'm trying to figure out what your
I
issue.
understand, yeah.
You've so far you've brought up the violations of the municipal code, the lack of investigation, but again, like Lieutenant Freeman said, we already know what's happening with the noise complaint related to beach life. We already know what the cause is and et cetera when it comes to investigating a complaint. And basically a dispatcher would pick up the phone and you'd say, hey, beach life is really loud. I can hear it from here. It's too loud. I don't like this, whatever the nature, the nuance of the complaint was. And then they are like, oh, in their heads, they're like, oh yeah, beach life is going on. It's a really loud and they have permission to do all these things that they're doing at the event. from the city. So there's no law violations occurring. So, and if there was any sort of like confusion on their part to you that came off as being unprepared or unknown, you know, I didn't take the phone call, so I can't speak for it. But yeah, that would be like the city says, hey, we decided that you can have your dogs in the park on leash when it was previously illegal. The city all of a sudden decides to change the law. And then you call and you're like, hey, there's this dog in the park on a leash with this guy, and dogs are, it's not legal to have a dog in the park. And the person on the dispatch is like, no, yeah, it is actually. And then you're like, well, I have an issue with you not investigating this complaint. But the complaint ceases to exist when the information is present that it's lawful. So I'm still trying to narrow down exactly what your issue is. I can talk for hours upon hours. So if you want to just call me after this meeting, I'll discuss it with you for hours. But I'm telling you right now, everything, the entire special event permit, all that stuff, etc., has to go all the way through the city and all the way up to the very top of the city council. And that's why we're referring you to there, because the fact that beach life exists in the world is in fact due to city council allowing it to do so. If city council says beach life exists, they are going to do this and they're allowed to do it by permit, legal authority that we have, it essentially takes away our power to investigate or physically, I would commit a crime by basically doing the opposite of what is being permitted. So again, if that's not good enough for you on our end, I'll talk to you all day at another time. But again, was just struggling to kind of narrow down exactly what your issue was, because I'm hearing the.
So Officer Lofstrom, what I requested was to be able to speak with someone in the police department offline, and I was told no. But now you're telling me yes, that you'll agree to speak with me. Okay, so I'll be able to make an appointment with you.
Yeah, I did call you. I left you a message this morning, if you remember.
No, I'm asking now after I don't know if it's Lieutenant Freeman said that I can't speak to this police department any longer regarding this subject, that they don't want to hear from me. That's my understanding.
But I'm not saying you're going to get information that you want to hear when you talk to me.
I don't care, but I just want to be able to have the opportunity to speak with you about
Sure.
the subject.
I'll talk to you all you want.
Okay, appreciate that. Thank you,
Yeah.
sir.
Is there anything else about the recent police events that was covered by me prior to this digression that anyone has questions about?
Officer Lofstrom, I want to thank you for all your hard work preparing this. Is there any upward trends besides catalytic converters, like in robberies or strong arm or anything like that? Or
no, not in particular. Typically, if we have those, they're usually it's called like an Estes robbery, which is what starts as a theft, and then somebody who doesn't own the property exclusively, like a loss prevention agent or something, tries to stop, and they use force or fear on the loss prevention agent. But typically those are fairly few and far between. I think we have had maybe a couple. I know that off the top of my head, there was somebody got a chain yanked off their neck.
That's terrible.
After August 31st, I believe. So there's stuff it's not in here that happened more recently that I usually cover at the next meetings when we reach back to the September stats.
Do I hear a motion to close J4? Anybody else want to talk on this topic?
I make the motion to close.
I'll second it.
Commissioner Gall,
Aye.
Commissioner Lieberman,
Aye.
Commissioner Kleinbaum,
Aye.
Commissioner Koenig.
Aye.
Okay.
I know this is Officer Lofstrom's favorite, but the community policing events, item J5.
Yes, it actually is. Community policing events. This list is getting longer and longer the longer I do this job, which makes me happy.
Good.
So I'm going to run through these real quick. Most of them you're familiar with. This will be from like July to last Thursday. It's the 16th. Cops and cones. That's the snow cones. Blood drive on July 22nd. Farmers market. We usually go out there and just have like an engagement with our community services trailer. National night out. That was slightly modified due to COVID. Another cops and cones. We did fingerprint merit badges with Boy Scouts.
Nice.
We did cops and cones all summer. Okay, like 6 of them. So
Those are good events too over at Franklin. That was excellent.
there is a joint catalytic converter. So Torrance hosted a joint catalytic converter. Torrance, Manhattan Beach, Redondo Beach, and Palos Verdes, and we all met at the big empty Sears lot there in Torrance. And I think we did about 350 cars around. Another farmers market. We initiated last week our teens and policing class. So for the fall, we have a 12-week session with some of the high school students. We put them something similar to the Citizens Academy, but super interactive and fun and more teen attention span focused. And also a breast cancer awareness fundraiser was initiated September 1st. If we raise $5,000 by September 30th, my hair is going to be dyed pink.
Congratulations.
And I believe your hair is going to be dyed pink from what I understand.
We are very close. I'm not going to specify as to maximize the capability of the fundraiser, but we're going to keep motivations high.
I wish I had hair.
As far as everybody knows,
Lieberman does too.
As far as everybody knows, I don't want my hair pink.
It's good to be young.
You definitely.
Upcoming homeless court is on September 29th. We do that monthly. Our National Coffee with a Cop Day is October 6th. So we're having National Coffee with a Cop October 6th, 9 a.m. at Beach City's Cafe and Confections. If you're familiar, it is on Beeland there. Right.
Oh, North Redondo, yeah.
We are doing our Faith and Blue. I wrote Faith and Blue on here if you're reading with me. It's actually Faith and Blue. It's an oversight on my part. That's October 7th. We've reached out to all the different houses of worship in the city of Redondo Beach, and we're going to walk along the Esplanade during the sunset. We have the Kiwanis Club Community Fair on October 16th at Anderson Park. We have the Domestic Violence Candlelight Vigil on October 23rd, Saturday night, 7 p.m. Halloween movie and costume party, October 29th here at our annex. And we are planning another catalytic converter etching event on Saturday morning, November 6th. We've had a lot of requests for the weekend, so we're going to try and do a quick event that morning. Another homeless court, November 17th, and a Let It Snow Dondo Christmas police event at Seaside Lagoon on December 4th. So that is what is upcoming. Any questions regarding all those cool things? All good.
Any questions, or should I ask for a motion to close J5?
I second that motion.
Roll call.
So goes the vote. Commissioner Gall,
Aye.
Lieberman,
Aye.
Kleinbaum,
Aye.
and Coig.
Aye.
Volunteers and policing, J6.
Okay, so there was some, I spoke to the reserve officer who oversees them and prepares this. I had some overlapping in my 2 documents. So I have the updated July. That's correct, compared from last meeting and August. So July was 318 hours of service. August, 374. Year to date after August is 1856.2. And as you can see in your agendas, the calls, and they typically go, the highest calls are going to be different patrol checks, schools, parks, etc. And then they help serve some subpoenas and do court runs for the Detective Bureau. So that has been updated properly that time. Any questions on volunteers and policing? Okay,
Do I hear a motion to close J6?
I make that motion.
A second.
Commissioner Gall,
Aye.
Commissioner Lieberman,
Aye.
Commissioner Kleinbaum,
Aye.
Commissioner Zoig.
Aye.
Referrals to staff, Commissioner Kleinbaum, anything?
No, I don't have any.
Commissioner Lieberman,
None for me.
Commissioner Kuig.
No, I don't have any this time. I think although last time my referral was for the city attorney to come do a presentation about the homeless pallet project that I thought we were going to get tonight, but maybe we can ask them again to come. I just want to see how that's going. And also, I guess since they're doing the homeless court, I'd like to see how that's going as well.
Yep. So I'll figure that stuff out that we talked about. I'm still somewhat new at this, so there's some nuance.
Can I interrupt? Commissioner, are you available to go to the homeless court on the 29th?
Are you asking me?
Yes, ma'am.
You know what? I just put it on my calendar as we were sitting here when they said that. I think I'm going to try to go.
Because if you go,
depending.
Mike Webb will be there. At least obviously somebody from the city prosecutor's office will be there. I mean, that would be, if you want to get answers the quickest way, and if you don't want to wait till next meeting, that would be your quickest way to get it.
Yeah, no, I'm going to try to do that. But I think maybe some of the other commissioners would like some answers too. I just want to see how it's going. Like,
Yeah, get to see it for yourself. But yeah, so let Kyle know if you're going to go, and we'll make sure that way we know you're going to be there. We can make sure.
okay,
The prosecutor talks to you.
okay, I'll do that. I put it on my calendar.
Anyways, so you can go.
So I'll check
That's
in.
September 29th in the morning, the 29th.
It starts at 9 or does it start earlier than that? And it's right at the annex, right?
8:30, yeah, in our annex parking lot here.
Wednesday, 8:30 a.m. at Annex?
Yes. Yeah.
Copy that.
Wednesday, September 29th.
Because again, like I know Kyle said earlier that he does get a hold of the city prosecutor's office and sends it out for them to go, but I don't know.
That was just what they said to me last. And again,
And it's hard for us. We can't force them to obviously attend.
maybe,
No, I get that. And everybody's busy and we all have stuff going on. But I mean, I thought that, I know sometimes the fire department's not here, but I would say 99% of the time, the fire department's here. Sometimes the chief comes.
Right.
I know he's not available and you're here today representing LAPD other than obviously Officer Lofstrom, but it just would be nice if they could come because they've missed quite a few. If you look at the minutes, we've missed them for the last 3 or 4 meetings. We haven't had an update from them at all. So that was only just my suggestion and concern.
admittedly, I don't know the official rules. I was trying to narrow down from his office, who the right person to email the invitation to was, because at one point it was going to be one person, then it went back to Melanie and et cetera. So he said, hey, we're not going to be able to attend for a bit. We're busy. And I said, okay. So I didn't really know
Right.
I just kind of took his word for it. So I'll find out from city staff about that and the rules and all that stuff.
And also, did we talk about the fact that there's now, I think, 2 openings that we have?
Maybe
Because
3.
I know that
2. Yeah.
Commissioner Super resigned.
Yes, there's 2 openings. There's his vacancy, and then there was already one standing vacancy for a total of 6, and now 5. So two absences or
Referrals should not be directed to PD. They should go to the city manager, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
You guys had a question before, right, when Darren Glenn was in charge of this? Right? Didn't this come up when Darren Glenn was on?
I think so, yes.
I think so.
Same thing. I remember looking it up because she asked me, and I remember looking it up, and then basically, this commission is appointed by city council, right? Everybody appointed by a city council. So I don't know if there's a mandate or an edict to a council person to have to.
Oh,
Okay. Commissioner, right? I mean, you might have again, I don't know, obviously, I'm just saying, you might have a council person that says, I don't want to appoint anybody. I don't know. So I don't know if there is an edict that says they have to appoint somebody to the council, but again, you're right. We don't make the recommendations and we don't appoint people for it. That's city council.
No, I was just
Clerk's
making the
office-
comment because if anybody's listening here that may be interested in seeking out to city council and saying that they might be interested in getting appointed interim, I just thought it was a good idea to let people know that we have 2 vacancies now.
Yeah, and hopefully, the city council knows that, because again, I would assume usually there is somebody, at least one, in any of the districts, there's usually somebody in the districts who has an interest in, like you guys did, in the Public Safety Commission or what's going on with the public safety in their city. So, all right.
Okay, I have one referral to staff. Thank you, Lieutenant Freeman. Just wanted to mention that at Lincoln Elementary School, I know that school board member Dan Elder was asking for 2-lane drop-off over on Plant Avenue. And so what I want to do with a referral to staff is to have the police department investigate and see if it would be appropriate to have students be dropped off on 2 lanes so it's more efficient and effective in that regard.
I have a question on that. Jeff?
Sure.
Now that you say it, I feel like maybe I read it wrong. It sounded like typically they restrict the parking during school hours so that they can have 2 lanes of drop off. And then after obviously schools had been closed for a while, it had been slightly disregarded. So it's not hard to just like make a couple days of a show of enforcement to kind of get people back on the ball again. But is it typically normally 2 lanes? Right, is what his email sounded like. I don't now I'm questioning myself.
No problem. Maybe this is just a referral to contact Dan. I know Dan has been going through PD through his channel and also Public Works and so forth to do that. But I know that it would be more efficient for the school to have some sort of drop off or yellow striping of that area so they can get more students dropped off in more rapid succession before I think.
See.
Yeah, that's the only thing I know.
Like an extension.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, you can refer them to me for the actual parking complaints. And then I actually don't, maybe Lieutenant Freeman would know in regards to modifying those curbs to be.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. So I know Lincoln
Planning.
right now what they do is they have the cones set up, right? They have the cones set up and they go down right there.
Yep.
You're saying you'd want, so Dan Elder, he's a school board member?
Correct.
Yeah, the only thing I know, again, this is just experience when I spoke to, I'm going to draw a blank, but the principal of Paris Middle School had a similar issue down there for on Emerald and wanting it painted. And, I forwarded the email that he had sent on it. And basically for us, anytime we want to get something painted or a red curb or something like that, it goes to basically the city. There's the city's traffic engineer who has to look at the feasibility of doing that.
Yep.
So, I mean, what we would probably do, just because we have to do it in the past, is forward it to that traffic engineer because, let's say we wanted a stop sign, the police department recognized at the corner of walk and don't walk, it's dangerous, and we need a stop sign or a red curb or something like that, we would still need to go to the city, and by the city, they're going to refer it to the traffic engineer to say, can we do this? For instance, it's come up a couple of times, like for instance, putting speed bumps on Torrance Boulevard coming out.
Wow. Yeah, it's rough.
To put speed bumps there. And that was like basically addressed to the traffic engineer who said, whatever, it's a 15% grade or whatever it is. And because of this and that and the alignment of the sun, we can't put a speed bump there. So again, but you can refer them to Kyle, but I kind of know what the end game is going to be. It's going to go to city traffic engineer.
Okay.
I understand what you want, right? To paint basically we'd have basically a yellow strip of paint or something like that going on and saying between whatever, 7:45 a.m. to 8:20 a.m.
Something like that. Yes.
Yeah. It's kind of the similar thing too. Like years ago, I don't know when they did it, but Bernie Elementary School.
Oh, that's crowded.
Right on Matthews on that side has a no parking between.
Yeah.
So same idea. And those again, but anything with the lines and red curbs, just because I know I'm going through it with the parking meter stuff, I know the traffic engineer is going to get involved into it to make sure that we can do that.
One comment I'd make is that the parking lot that is to Lincoln is being illegally parked at. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Illegally parked?
There's residents illegally parking there. So that might come into play with being efficacious in terms of dropping out the people that are supposed to be dropped off there during school hours.
Yeah, that's something we can address, obviously. I know he said he preferred education in the email, but we can go out there and just a little bit of enforcement and people get the idea and get back to the normal flow there. Yeah, so, and then, like he said, in regards to extending that restriction all the way down, it would, the long term will end up like in a traffic engineering, like you said.
Great. Commissioner Kuig?
I just have one question. Don't we have a staffer on the call with us? Because I know that normally when we used to refer things to staff, there was a staff member so we weren't referring them to you, Officer Lofstrom. We were just referring them to staff. But I know that I see staff computer, but I don't know if there's anyone on the call with us that would take the referrals.
So, Katira put in her 2 weeks, a month or so ago. I think she handled a lot of some of this stuff, so they're kind of divvying it up. And I've taken on some more responsibilities with this. So that's going to be one of those things I'm going to claim being a newbie on, and will educate myself on that and figure it out for next time. So
Yeah, just so you don't take on too much, because I think there's supposed to be a staff member on the call with us who's, when we do referrals to staff, they take the referrals.
Modifying some of this stuff. So I will, I'll get with Vicky and figure that all out.
Great. Thank you for all your hard work. Is there any other comments from commissioners? And if not, I will make a motion to adjourn.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Excellent. Will you guys just bear with me for 1 second? Because I need to do something that I didn't used to have to do. I just need to read the very long list of instructions that I have. Okay, stand by. Sorry. Uh-oh. Oh, okay. We're okay. We're good.
Sounds like my daughter's physics homework. May I make a motion to adjourn?
Yes, we are adjourned.
Great. Thank you.
All right. Take care. Be safe.
Bye.
When's the next meeting, Kyle?
October 18th.
Okay.
October 18th. Sorry, I think maybe you weren't in yet.
I probably